How many times you should listen to an album? Now, this has been discussed before. It's a pretty subjective question because it depends on the listener. I mean, sure, you could listen to an album as many times as you want, but realistically, how many times do you give an album a listen to then decide your proper opinion on the album? Now, I believe that there should be an unspoken rule on this topic because I think that everyone should at least give an album three listens before you formulate an opinion on it, because I feel like if you just give an album one listen, are you really giving the album a fair amount of time to let it sink in and decide what you think on it? So I think at least three times is what you should be doing with an album. But in today's age where singles take most of the hype instead of albums, do people really give albums three listens? Probably not. I mean, they probably just give the album one listen and decide whether they want to listen to it again or not. And the answer will probably be no, and they'll end up picking a few of their favorite songs that they keep going back to. And of course, every album is very different. I mean, yeah, I'm not saying that you should go into one album, give it three listens, then done, and then next album three listens, then done, and then so on and so on and so on. No, you should treat an album very different to the next album. I mean, there are some albums, like mostly pop albums, that, like for instance, the latest Kesha album or Harry Styles' Paramore, well, Katy Perry, those albums, like I felt like after three listens, I pretty much knew my opinion on, and even maybe after one listen, I pretty much had an opinion, but then you've got to give it a few more after that just in case. But albums like those aren't exactly hard to digest. I mean, you pretty much can hear the vocals as clear as possible. You know the lyrics just by listening to the song after one listen. You don't have to dig deeper and go onto Genius and work out what's going on. Um, they're pretty standard albums that you can just give a few listens and that's it. Albums with much more depth to them, though, you need way more than three listens to give an opinion on. I mean, you couldn't like write a review or record a review if you've only given like the new Billy Woods album three listens or the new Milo album. I haven't even done a review on that yet. I'm pretty late to it, but it's because it's so like lyrically dense that you kind of have to keep listening to so you can catch the lyrics that you might not have heard before and understand what's going on. One example as well would be the Mountain Goats album. I gave that like more than 10 listens and I still wasn't really getting it after those listens, and I'm still not really a big fan of that album, but it's an album that needed a lot of listens though, so you can kind of understand what's going on musically and especially lyrically as well, because those are the things that you need to pay attention to the most. I remember that it took so many listens for me to realize that on To Pimp a Butterfly there was this poem going on, like throughout every song. Like I knew he was obviously speaking at the end of each song, saying a little piece, but it took me so long to work out that it actually all came together on the final track, and then he talks to Tupac. Like it's stuff like that. Like you can't just give an album one listen because you will miss things like that if you don't pay attention close enough. I've even in the past regretted giving an album only one listen because I remember the Everything Everything album Get to Heaven. I only gave that one listen, thought it was a bit overrated, but then a few months down the line I returned to it because I saw that so many critics praised it throughout the few months that it had been out, and I was just like, no, this isn't that good. And then I listened to it again and again and again, and then it ended up being in my top five albums of the year. So it's like you can't just give an album one listen because your opinion can completely change after three or four listens. Music is a very different art form to the other art forms. I mean, you wouldn't go to the cinema three times in a week to watch the same film just so you can decide whether you like the film or not. You pretty much know after one viewing that you like it. And you wouldn't go to an art gallery and stare at the same piece of art for over an hour wondering whether you like that piece of art. No, you just look at it and you know. But music, I think we expect immediacy from. Sometimes I think we just want that immediate pleasure, and if we don't like it after even like 25 seconds of listening to a song, it's like, oh, I'm done with it. Like, no, that shouldn't be how it works. We should sit down and like give the attention to the song like as much as it needs, because you could change your opinion like completely if you gave the album or the song a proper listen. And I think that's something that's neglected in music. I mean, it's like, oh, we don't need to listen to an album more than once because after one listen it's fine. But no, that isn't how it should be. I mean, you should give an album more than one listen because, again, your opinion could change and you should at least try to see why you don't like something as opposed to, oh, I don't like it and that's it. I don't think there's much else to say on this topic. I mean, to sum up, basically, each album's different. Some albums need more listens, some albums need less listens, but basically, a few listens is required for every album that you try. So yeah, I'm hoping to do more discussion type videos that I've just done with this one. So please do comment something that you'd want me to talk about in the next video. I'm sure I'll be able to come up with my own ideas, but it would be helpful to get the commenters telling me what they would want me to talk about. Buffalo Staple was the person that asked me this question, so thank you to you. Thank you, Buffalo Staple. And yeah, I hope you liked this video. If you did, then do subscribe for more videos like this in the future and album reviews, and have a good day.